We're rolling.
What's up, jabronis? Welcome to another installment of the Humpcast. This week we have Justin Haper of Southmouth and other projects such as Barber Lard. And I know I'm missing another big one. What's the other big one? Moist Host.
Yeah. All guys.
We got Jake the Snake and Frank on the chair. I'm going to quickly mention the show that's coming up here on the 24th of this month. That is a Johnny Cash cover marathon, and we can get into the guests here in a moment. Yeah, exactly.
Brought to you by 40s of Budweiser.
What is up, bitches? We're back again on the Humpcast couch. It's another Wednesday that has elapsed in the multiverse, and this week it brings us with Haper in the room. Say hello to our wide fan base. We got literally tens of people that tune in and watch us.
Sweet. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here. We've already probably should have started recording a half an hour ago.
Yeah.
Shit, dude.
We'll be talking about Play-Doh and other bullshit now for the next hour or so.
Right, yeah. We were talking about some awesome stuff, black metal and whatnot, and
we found black underwear.
We found black underwear. You know what that means?
Panties, not underwear. Underwear is what men wear, and panties are what women wear. I think they were panties. I don't know.
It's true. We're kind of running crazy today. Just got off work and just cruised over here right away. And
you and me both, man.
Yeah. This week we're brought to you by Pitas and Cattle Decap and
Trident.
Yeah.
Not the gum, but like
the spears.
The thing, the Trident thing.
So your view, you were talking a little bit earlier on black metal. Just a few questions for you. So, how old are you, Haper?
35.
35. Right on. And you're from Sioux Falls?
Sioux Falls. Originally born and raised, lived in Minneapolis for a couple of years. Got to see some things there. That was fun.
Mm-hmm. In the Twin Cities area there?
I don't think there's any good metal up there.
No?
That's not true.
Well, a lot of power metal up there.
As far as I know, dude, I saw this one band where there was like a 16-year-old guitarist, and they were like kind of fucking children of Bodemi, you know what I mean? That's just the fucking vibe they threw off. Chick singer, she wasn't the greatest, she was off a little bit, but this fucking guitarist, man,
Yeah, dude.
was just like ripping it off.
Yeah, there's tons of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess when you're talking a full band, well,
But no, in the big cities, there's just so many.
Per capita,
ridiculous
you'd imagine. I'd imagine that there'd be just some tear the fucking cover off the ball shit. And when I was there, I'm talking 12 years ago, I didn't think there was anything in Minneapolis that was really. There was Anal Blast.
Yeah,
which is what it is, and they were always a fucking good time and assholes to boot, and you always had a good time when you were at a show with Decker and those guys. But like I honestly, being a geek and kind of a shut-in, I think Sioux Falls right now has a shit ton of fucking really good metal.
Think so?
I think there are better metal bands in Sioux Falls than there are any other genre of band.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
don't care for fucking fake Southern acoustic bullshit that seems to be popular with all the kids and everything. That doesn't move me.
Yeah, I hear you.
But
Oh, right. Like all this like Grammy shit that's going on. You hear the same like couple songs like constantly.
That's what everybody's.
I don't
really
know. I
looking
mean,
up to,
the accordion. I hate to say
music.
it. The accordion was never cool. Not Weird Al.
They might be giants.
Cool. That'd be, yeah. That maybe be the extent of it.
Right. Yeah. Right. One band.
But you know, and I'm a fan
Go
of.
Bordello, perhaps, maybe. I mean,
Go
they do-
Bordello, there you go, dude.
They probably have an accordion. I'm willing to bet. And,
But I'm
Never heard it.
I mean, I'm a fan of all music, and I don't know. Sioux Falls is weird. Sioux Falls has personality crisis.
Yeah.
15,
So fucking true.
15 years ago, everybody was straight edge and hardcore and borderline religious, and now all those people are smoking weed and playing in fucking grassroots kind of fucking dirty feet
Yeah,
shit.
you're right.
All their favorite singers, Steve Earle, and you know, it's like I don't know.
But people that would go to any extreme, it seems like once they move on to something else, they're going to go the extreme to the other direction then. So like if a person were completely straight edge and, you know, all about this punk movement or whatever the hell was going on then, and now they're trying to get away from that, they're going to probably push it
Go
direction,
fucking
yeah.
the other way, yeah.
So, you know, that's why these girls like that, you know, that perhaps I've been involved with that were just complete whores. Or like, you know what I mean? Are just like
We
saved
need to
again and like
flip on that one, Donnie.
worship
Now they're
Jesus.
married, they got 3 kids.
Yeah, they're married and
Well,
they're
you're
just worshiping
fixing-
Jesus.
you're fixing
And-
people.
Yeah, I'm doing. Yeah, oh yeah,
You're
I've done
right.
plenty to fix. Yeah, I've contributed.
That or you created to the
Meanwhile, they're
added to
fucking
the
downing you.
lesbian population.
I'm not going to expand any further on that.
real.
So getting back to Haper, tell us about some of the bands that you jammed on, that you've played in and whatnot.
I am currently playing in SoMo. We've got a record that came out last year that is free. It
I got that
is yeah. You might have paid, but you bought the physical copy, which are handmade and blah blah blah. And yeah, if you go on, you know, I think it's SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Red Fizz, you'll find SoMo. Obnoxious old people that don't hang out, but still occasionally get out and play shows. We got to play the lovely Skelly's Pub about a month ago, and that was delicious.
Was it?
Fucking good sound, and I had fun. We played a bunch of new material, a little different stuff, but
I got a video of you guys playing.
I think we recorded a really shitty one too.
Who's
This was actually pretty good.
Jesse wasn't he?
We're running sound. I think he was.
Yeah. But I
I'm pretty
mean,
sure he was.
we're a train wreck with, and we always tell, you know, turn the vocals down and just, wait. We'll be done in 25 minutes.
Who's on? Who's on? SoMo.
SoMo, formerly Southmouth, yes. SoMo, Andrew Little's on drums, Gabe Bieber, no relation to Justin Bieber, plays guitar, and then David Baumberger is the other guitarist. And then David and I play in the little two-man conglomerate known as Barbara Lard, which is always anyone's welcome to come lay down for a track, and that's kind of like the only way I can describe that is like They Might Be Giants meets the Butthole Surfers meets Pink Floyd meets
The neighbors.
LSD and the neighbor's daughters. And then, you have Barbara Lard. And we actually, last year, we really tried hard to put Barbara Lard live and played a couple coffee or open mic shows.
Great way to get your feet wet.
And they were really, we had one with a bunch of old people at Latitude.
Awesome.
And we were like fourth on the list, and I'm like, we can't do it. We're going to fucking scare all the people that are paying for drinks. We're going to scare them out of here.
Right,
It's awesome.
We waited.
How you doing?
Yeah, we waited, and finally they let us play, and I was just drunk enough, and David and I laid it down, and after we had to kind of sound check song one, and then we laid down 4 songs that were pretty ridiculous, and then we tried it again at Boonies, and it was really bad, and since then we pulled all that material back, all 6 albums that are ready to be released, put it back onto the computer, and we were in the middle of writing a song about child murder, rape, Satanism, and commercialism. Which that one's I've got a mix, and when I'm done with this, I may go
Broad
home
spectrum of topics
and
to
move-
tackle in one song.
and it kind of feels that way when you listen to it. But yeah, all that stuff. You can find it on Facebook and SoundCloud, Bandcamp, all that.
You should make that the name of that song.
Barbara Lard. That's awesome.
Barbara Lard, interesting story. There was a ghost show called The Haunting that was on during the day. I used to always have Wednesdays off, and I'd be hungover and kind of lay around on the couch, and this was when I had cable. And The Haunting would be on for like 3 hours, and it's one of those TV shows where they'd reenact
Yeah.
a story.
Yeah.
So they'd have like, this family living in a house, blah, 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 and the people's faces would be blacked out and names were changed to protect the innocent, blah, blah, blah. And they'd recreate these stories, and they were always kind of weird. And some of the imagery I thought was pretty good and pretty creepy. But anyway, one Wednesday I'm hungover and I'm watching it, and there was a show on The Haunting about this bar in Tennessee or Kentucky or somewhere, a haunted bar, blah, blah, blah. And the bartender was this chick named Barbara Lard. I think that was her real name, and they used it in the show. But anyway,
That was definitely her real name.
well, no,
dude.
and that night I was at a very early Southmouth practice. This is right when we first started writing material together, and David was living in Brookings at the time, and he came in to town, and in one of our breaks, I was drinking shots and getting kind of fucked up and just spewing out bullshit, and I heard him say Barbara Lard, and I was like, yeah, fucking Barbara Lard, and I started talking this haunting talk, and he was like, yeah, I watched it today. And I wanted to call SoMo Barbara Lard, and everyone other than David and I shot it down, so we just said, fuck it, we'll start our own band called Barbara Lard.
Why not?
That's
And
fucking awesome.
Everyone's
name.
welcome. We record at 805 South Lake. Make sure that David's not working because he works the computer and knows how to record all this stuff. But anyone's welcome to come and join in the fun.
Can I try out right now?
You are.
that
You're already.
impossible?
You're already in.
Yeah.
You're in. You're actually. You're in, and then you've been kicked out.
But you're back
Can,
in.
can
But
you
you're
rehire me? Even if I only have one arm?
You're. Well, one. Yeah.
Can you rehire me?
I don't know that we could
Impossible,
program the drums retardedly to match any of the guitar work that you do. We don't understand percussion at all, and you can really tell that we don't have a real drummer.
Fuck that, dude. Dude, Droid's a fucking good drummer, man.
Yeah, and not Barbara Lard doesn't have a drummer though. In fact, we went as far as to sampling Andrew just playing really simple beats and then trying to cut and paste those, and it still doesn't work. But Andrew, yes, done some work with Barbara Lard too.
Okay, I was thinking that David was Droid. That's what I was thinking.
Fuck him.
No, David.
David's-
Droid is Andrew.
Yeah,
Droid is Andrew, okay.
But yeah, that's kind of what I do, and then was formerly of Moist House, which had a lot of the same people, a little more heady and noisy. That was in the early
got one of them CDs.
the early 2000s when noise was cool.
Noise core, whatever, noise music.
Noise core.
music. No, like, you know what? There was like a fucking noise dude that came through, but it was like it was like all electronic shit. It was like the sound of like engines running and like
Toilets breaking.
Pavement
like,
saws cutting
like
concrete.
weird shit, and then like there was fucking big sheets on the wall with projection, the projector, like, so there was like, 3 different projectors, all like, showing different images from these projectors.
It's just
going
big
on.
blur of
And
garbage.
like, on one screen you'd see like a 50s family, and then you'd see like marching, Nazis marching, and then you'd see like, nuclear explosions over here or something, and then like you'd hear all this noise and shit.
You gotta have a gimmick though.
cool.
That's in
Yeah.
1988 that would have been progressive, but in our times that's just a loser that can't figure out music. And I hate to say that because I want to be that guy, but I don't even own a VHS or a projector anymore. An overhead projector where you could at least, like your teacher used to have, where you could I don't even
Smart
know one
board.
of those.
Overhead projector.
Over-
Just have like 3 of those.
3 of those. Different
Have
color
fun setting them up for every show, dude.
Different colored film and hope you
Yeah,
don't
get
break
the
the light
film.
bulbs when you're setting it up. Fuck!
Let me fucking just drill
Some
real
old
quick.
school shit. Like get a bunch of monitors, you know, with like number munchers and shit on them. Throw that up on stage.
Yeah, dude.
Fucking Oregon Trail and shit. Why not?
A friend of mine years ago had an Atari game that was it was a straight sound setup, and it was literally, I believe the tempo changed with the color of the screen, and all it was your straight colors. And then there were 2 numbers, and I believe you just controlled different clicks, you know, of Atari music, and you go to like 27 for one, and that would do one thing, and then 35 would do another thing, and then if you change the color of the screen, it changed the tempo of the whole thing. I always thought that would be cool, but apparently it never caught on, ever. Ever, period.
I wonder why.
It's a big influence in music these days.
Well,
Pong.
yeah, retro's
Atari,
cool,
man.
and
Atari.
Retros.
Atari.
I was fortunate enough to grow up poor, so I remember just like going to Goodwills and fucking playing Ataris. Like,
Finding the actual like the weird Coleco systems that there weren't cartridges. You just plugged it in.
That's exactly what
and
it
you
was.
got
That's
like
exactly
5
what it was.
games, and
Yes.
they were 2-player.
Yeah, and it was so mysterious, dude.
and-
I was like, what is like the first? That was my first exposure to video games, and I was like, oh my god, this is great.
I had one that looked, it was like a gray deal about that big. It looked like an old cell phone, and then there was like another controller that big with like the thinnest fucking wire.
Yes,
And you could pull it apart, and that was a controller too. I got the big one, all the things that to control the games were up here, and I got my dial, and you got your
It
dial.
was so bizarre.
Fucking game on.
Is it fucking
Or electric football.
in television?
Oh, electric football.
Oh
it was
my
electric
God,
football with the
Electric football. It was like a vibrating,
Yeah.
like man. Like
Set them up,
like,
turn it on, run your play.
Oh,
Go, motherfucker!
yeah, go on.
What?
You're yelling at him and
Like
shit.
chaos, just yeah, dude. Electric football. There's got.
All your guys
I wonder
fall
what
at the
those
same
go
time.
for on eBay nowadays. That was
In
was
good
like
shape, I'm
straight
sure.
80s, straight 80s. That would probably be like an 80, like made in 1981, 82. Right?
I'd say even
God,
more. I'd
man.
say mid 70s, the first rounds
Oh
of it.
sure, really. What a retarded concept, though.
What did it do?
Yes.
What is this
It
electric
was-
football?
It was.
What is this shit?
It
You
was
don't know
the-
about electric football?
No.
It's
It
like
was
ice
like-
hockey,
Oh,
only
dude.
they have like
No, it's not like ice
little
hockey.
people that fit on top of it. And it's like magnets that hold it.
Yeah,
up
it was
and
magnets,
vibrates
and it was
goes,
very thin metal, and then it just
they shake.
vibrated, so your guys would naturally move.
Yeah, dude.
But they didn't move in any order like
No,
a
it
football
was
team
random.
should. It was
Fucking
just
random.
you're running back,
All
you
over
get turned
sometimes.
around, and yeah, you just commentated it. You and your fucking next door neighbor sat and talked about
Red
how
team versus
it
blue
probably
team.
took an hour to set up one play, and then you push the on button and it went, "Grrr," and your guys tipped over, and you imagine that 3 yards were gained. You turned it off, and you reset up, and you're like 2nd and 7. You set up,
Second, it's
and you push the button, and it did it again,
I know,
and then
I
you
know.
punted, and then I don't know.
I was like 4 or 5 when I was
Oh,
playing with that
dude,
shit. I
that
remember
was
like they had one
ridiculous.
at like a
What the
garage sale that I
fuck?
bought. So I thought it was
Yeah,
awesome.
that
It was
game was
useless.
something else. Yeah, another great way to pass time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Plus,
90s.
once video games came out, you got like Tecmo Super Bowl. Like that was like, yeah,
Hell
fuck
yeah.
that shit.
That was the
That
king.
shit, dude.
Tecmo
Hell yeah,
Super Bowl
dude.
was
Yeah,
the
dude.
king.
NES, Nintendo, I was into that shit too.
Yeah. So off topics.
Yeah, right. Getting
That's
back-
all this
getting
show
back to
is,
music.
dude.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Off
it.
topics. You just
Getting back to
fucking roll.
music shit. Bring it back. So when did you start playing music, man? Was it about the same time as electric football? Or
No, I
was electric football like a thing that was going on while you were learning?
I think the funny thing about music is my dad had an acoustic guitar, a pretty cool looking thing, and I don't think he could play it. I don't know how he fucking acquired it. And when I was really young, that acoustic was sat in this room in the basement, and I referred to the case as a coffin. I thought that's what it was. It was like there's a guitar in there, and I remember my dad letting me break it in the driveway when I was probably like 11 or 12. Like
Letting you break it.
break the guitar. It was fucking shell. No one knew how to play it. No one knew how to play it.
Let me just break the guitar before
Great old tuning anyways, chances are. Yeah.
Break the guitar
my
before
dad,
the show.
My dad was
ladies and
weird.
gentlemen.
He had Cream Records and Steppenwolf and I mean
Cream's awesome.
he liked music, but he
Fucking Tesla.
didn't know how to play it. He probably acquired it in some weird 3-2 beer deal gone wrong. I don't know. But no, I didn't. I bought my first guitar. I was working at Wendy's full time as like a sophomore in high school, saving up my checks, and I bought a guitar that looked kind of like a Les Paul. It was probably 1993, and I bought that and like a $25 amp. And my good buddy Travis Moosel, he bought a guitar. He acquired a guitar from a neighborhood kid. We didn't understand. When we got them, we didn't know that they needed to be tuned.
Yeah.
They were electric guitars. We didn't know you needed amps.
Yep.
And then when we got amps and cords and plugged it all in, we're like,
Yeah.
wow, this doesn't sound like Van Halen.
I wonder how many guitar players started on a fucking knockoff guitar. Like
Well, but I mean,
Walmart
like we didn't even
or some shit.
we didn't understand that you
No.
needed a distortion
He does.
pedal
What do you
to make the
mean?
noise, and then we didn't
Just
understand
turn it
that you
up
needed
real
to
loud.
tune it. So we slowly got that shit together and
That
really,
takes a year or two usually.
yeah.
It takes a while. We're like, wait a minute, this bitch is supposed to.
Well, when you don't have any money, you just kind of pluck around. And you're
Oh,
like,
yeah, you just-
we should have been more bored, but
You don't
we were-
realize that the strings are like fucking an inch and a half off the,
yeah, the
fretboard.
fretboard. Well, we didn't. I don't think we realized that. We didn't realize how expensive it would be.
Oh, it's so smart.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And so when we finally
Even
started,
if you do it the cheap way, it's still expensive.
yeah. But so when we started to compile equipment, we just wanted to fucking do it. And we were in that weird age where like 8-bit Nintendo was all the rage. That we
Fuck
grew,
yeah.
we grew up with it.
That
And
shit
then
was
Super
the
Nintendo
shit
came
when they
out,
were.
and we were in middle school, and you were supposed to be getting laid for getting into girls and smoking,
middle school?
and we didn't have any friends, so we just happened to kind of do this music thing,
Hell yeah.
and
You started a little earlier then.
it took a really long time though. I didn't play my first competent guitar chord was probably 1995. And I wanted to be, I think I wanted to be the Dead Kennedys.
Nice.
And
There you
what
go.
a bad band.
I like the Dead Kennedys.
But I mean, to pick
Not
as like
familiar
a
with
style, like I want to sound
I want to
like,
sound like the Dead Kennedys.
yeah, it's like, well, they don't play fucking guitar
It's a
like
great
normal
place to start,
bands.
You know, it's a great place to start.
And I tell everyone that wants to play guitar, whether they played it or not, or they want to learn, I'm like, buy a fucking $70 guitar. I'll sit down and I'll show you power chords. And I said,
No
do you,
shit.
do you like Nirvana? Yeah, okay, well, I'll teach you a Nirvana song. And better yet, do you like the Misfits? Because I'll teach you, like, every Misfits song. But after that, like, when it gets into lead and shit like that, like, I'm not the guy for that.
I think a good tool, like if you're learning, at least what I did would help me is just learning tablature.
Yeah.
Because once I learned tablature, I was able to start running with pretty much any. Because Ramones was like the first thing that I started.
Well,
doing.
Ramones or
So
Misfits.
I learned like every fucking Ramones song there was because like
Oh,
it was
yeah.
easy to get I could download the tablature out the internet.
Yep, and
you
just
know.
plug your fingers
Just gotta
into
know what
this.
it's saying.
Print
You
them
just
off.
gotta
And,
fucking-
your fucking speed. And with the Ramones, the beauty of it was the records sound like shit because they're played slow. You need the live records.
Oh, they're
you need to
playing
hear
super
them,
fast.
and it's like that's all you need. And the Misfits, I think, were the same way. Talk about some of the greatest hooks that could be written in some of the easiest fucking lame brain
What
formats.
did
I
you
need
think?
to
Of,
get
what did,
into
what did
them
you think
more,
of
'cause
Danzig?
Fuck
I love
Danzig from what-
Danzig.
From what I've heard, I'm not into Danzig.
No.
I love
heard.
Danzig.
And then I saw, like, before I started get into the
You like
music,
all
I
of
saw
Danzig?
Glenn Danzig get punched out.
Danzig
So.
4 is where I cut bait. Officially, I'll go 1 through 4. Love them. 5 was terrible. 6 was interesting, and then I'm sketchy all the way after that. But yeah, Danzig needs to like recover, or he needs to suffer a bout with like testicular cancer or something, and get over it.
Life changing.
Yeah, and then put out a fucking decent record. That's what he needs to do.
So I'm sobering him up.
But yeah, I like Danzig. I don't know that I like him now, but I like him.
But you do like the Misfits and the stuff that he did with them, I'm assuming.
He did shit with the Misfits. Was he singing for him? Or
He
what?
was the Misfits.
What?
He wrote.
What?
Yes.
Wow, dude, I didn't even fucking know that.
Revelation, motherfucker.
No, you're not hating on fucking Danzig so much, are you?
Well, the thing is, I fucking never listened to the Misfits. That's one thing I was saying, is that I got to get more into them because I've never fucking checked them out, really.
You just need Walk Among Us and Earth AD, and that's all you need, and you got every fucking Misfits song.
Alright.
It's like AC/DC once you hear one.
Do they have an unplugged record?
What's your favorite
There it
Ramones
goes.
album?
You know, my thing. What's the live one? The Ramones.
We've got Loco Live, that was done in like '84. They've got the one they did in New York. The one in New York is like early '90s one.
I think it was Logo Live because you have all.
Oh no, Loco Live is like the '70s one. That's like the '70s one. That's the early.
But I mean, when you
early.
listen to the early records and you pop them on, and whoever produced them, or they've got a sound. They're good.
Fuck yeah, dude.
But then you hear them live, and you're like, why wasn't the fucking record recorded like this with this energy?
Well,
It's hard to fucking capture that
The
energy.
thing is that they were kind of thrust into that. Like, I'm guessing, I wasn't alive then, but I mean, they. It seems to me that they got thrust into the mainstream. You know what I mean? Like they could have lived on as like just an underground cult thing, and like I don't think their like sound would have really changed that much.
No, yeah.
But the production does simply because they were being marketed on such a large scale that they just hooked them up with a fucking studio time. They're like, here's a real studio.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's gonna sound
this isn't a
pristine,
tiny,
yeah,
this
it's
isn't a
gonna sound
tiny little
clean.
live club, so their sound's gonna sound like a professional pop record. It's got all that shit there to it. So
There's a lot of fucking production to it.
everything's
Exactly.
cleaned up. You know what I mean? Fucking,
Mix the fucking.
Well, so then
dude.
I'll go back to Dead Kennedys, and when you hear Plastic Surgery Disasters, you're talking about a band that knows what they're fucking doing. They've got credibility, and they're touring. And then they did Plastic Surgery Disasters, and it's recorded. It sounds like in a fucking garage, like it's misrecorded, but it's so fucking good. And so that fucking bass just rails, and you would think that the progression for them would be it would just get smoother and cleaner and tighter and fucking whatever, and instead they went backwards.
They must have fought it.
Well, but at the same time, yeah,
they made a conscious decision to
dude,
fucking go that way.
I don't know if you guys are into this shit, but the last Foo Fighters record, that shit was recorded in Dave Grohl's garage, which I'm sure he's got a nice ass garage.
Yeah, I'm sure he
because,
has like a
His garage is way nicer than my place. and shit.
Right,
his garage
yeah,
is
you got a
probably
point.
our block.
He's
True,
got the
but
whole
the garage
fucking
is right.
32 track in there. No,
Yeah, a
but-
lot of people like Whitechapel. They record at in like his mom's house, the singer's mom's
Exactly.
house.
So then we
Sure.
can revisit
SMBC.
Danzig, and we can go to Sam Hain's first record, Initium.
Right.
Holy shit! You want to talk about? I don't want to call it a metal record. It's a punk.
It's a hybrid.
But the recordings are really big and professional that way too. Like they're dark and big, but
But Initium sounds like it was recorded in a fucking shed, a rotted out shed, and the fucking drums are too loud and canned and weird. But that's all part of the allure of that record.
Right.
Hearing the thin guitar and then him discovering who he wants to be.
it's like
That's kind of like me with New American Gospel by Lamb of God. That recording is so shitty and so raw, but that's what makes it badass, is that it's fucking that
But
raw, dude.
that's what made that sound original. Because that was when they were actually had their own sound. Until they started stealing the Pantera shit later on.
Well, either
Where
way.
you could hear it. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I got way too touched up.
It depends. There are some things that really lend themselves to it. You take a band like fucking the Subhumans. Yeah, you want to if they had a completely slick recording, it would sound weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it would just sound. Yeah.
So sometimes
it would sound a lot.
Sometimes production doesn't do justice to the energy that.
That's true.
Well, like some of the Crash recordings, they're quiet, but they're mastered pretty well. Like I mean, like.
Have you heard the remasters?
No, dude, no. Like,
They're interesting.
It's like clean up. It's like a clean recording. Like all the Crash that I have, like I mean, the recordings aren't really that raw. I mean, like they're pretty clear. Like I mean, it's not like it's really grainy or anything. Like
No, but when they remastered, I think they tried to bring it up. It's jukebox syndrome, where you fucking play Eminem's new song and it fucking bumps the shit out of the bar,
right.
and then you play fucking through Being Cool by Devo, and it's like.
Yeah. Right, yeah, right.
And it's like, well, can you turn it up? And even when they turn it up, there's just no. When digital music started getting made, I don't think they figured out how to fucking make it
It's all fucking emulated. It's all fucking. I can't think of the word.
You can't fix the recording after that though, like a shitty
But
recording.
like
like
those
a
simulated-
It seems like you would be able to just bump up the volume on it.
Right, but the mix is so different.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the problem. Is that the
Because recording
mix,
starts
the way that it
when you
records.
set
So
the mics up.
you would basically
That's
like have to have a
starts.
system in place to compensate for that.
When you got to think
like-
about all that stuff in the late 70s, especially like punk bands, late 70s, early 80s, you were probably, like even the Misfits, when they did Static Age, that was like studio time given to them. They got to record on the overnights. That was their best sounding record, quality-wise. Those tapes probably don't exist. Because those tapes cost money, those reels. They probably ran the reels and then fucking erased them and re-recorded, X's 7th record over that, and so the masters are lost. The true masters, because I think if you're going to remaster it, you'd have to actually have the tape.
Think so?
I think to an extent. I don't know anything about recording.
Yeah. I mean, probably.
Well, that's the thing is it's all digital now, so it's hard to even know anything about the recording back in the day. At least for me,
Well,
because you can do the shit on your home computer now,
and that's a lot of
put that
what
on a CD if you want.
Cassette, because I grew up in the age of the cassette. Like cassette,
Yep.
cassette was king.
yes.
Cassette was king for me. Like from the time that I fucking was first fucking starting out.
Yeah, but that shit didn't
No.
sound that good though. I mean,
Yeah,
I was
but-
growing up with it
Cassette?
too.
Cassette had a cool, warm feel to it. Like I liked it.
I
mean,
thought cassette had a more consistent quality that you could bring. The beauty of the cassette was it was this big. You
Tiny
could
as
put
fuck,
2 or
bro.
3 of them in your pockets. You could go to a fucking party.
It was
Yeah.
durable.
Everybody had a fucking cassette player.
very durable.
You could pop fucking Run DMC's Raising Hell in and kick it and it'd sound good. Whereas carrying records around, records have a beautiful warmth to them. They're not accessible.
Yeah.
not practical in a vehicle.
Yeah, at all.
Horrible.
And
Here comes along cassette, and it's like, oh, we can jump in the car, fucking throw in
Fucking
a cassette,
boom.
have a
Yeah.
mixtape. Like, I mean, that.
the
there was-
mixtape,
There's a charm to that, you know?
the mixtape is something that I go on rants now.
Now there's
As,
big CDs.
well, as I get
Ton of
older.
them.
Yeah,
Ton
but
of
the
them.
thing about a mixed CD is you could skip songs. You couldn't skip songs on a
No,
mixtape.
that tape
You had to
had to be
consciously
good, yeah.
sit down and fast forward and
But that's
stop.
why
play.
people
Dude, I
like.
used
That's
to-
why people would like that.
Yeah, because you were
'cause
forced to listen to what
Right.
your buddy wanted you to hear.
Well, don't you think that that's kind of like, how many times have you been through that where like you're listening to music with a friend, and fucking they continuously skip through an album that you want to listen to the songs, and it's like, dude, on a cassette, shit ain't happening. You know what I mean? Like, granted, they did have Seek eventually, but I mean, I remember old school cassette
Yeah.
tapes that were just fast forward,
Stop.
Dude.
stop is both
Dude.
of them, and then like fucking rewind. That's it.
Dude, you know what I was doing
Stop
when I was
it.
in when I first got into high school, dude? What I was doing is I was driving a fucking like '83 Buick LeSabre, maybe it was '86. I was driving that, and I didn't have a CD player in it. So what I did was I would go to my boombox in my room, put in a CD, put in a tape, and then fucking just take the song off the CD onto the tape, and then I'd do that for like fucking however many songs on the tape, throw it in, and yeah, you had to seek for it.
I did a
I would
really.
just go straight into the tape deck and fucking.
I did a
That-
really.
That's called making a mixtape. Jay.
I did.
I made a mixtape.
That's standard practice.
You made your mixtape. You
made a
didn't even know
mixtape.
it.
It's standard.
He's like,
I'm
no,
a
guys, check
mixtaper.
this out. This is what I
You
did.
take your favorite songs.
Yeah, you do that. That's you assemble them on a cassette tape and you
listen.
that. Listen to my mixtape.
Or you wait till that bitch gets played on the radio
Fucking
on like some
Jake.
shitty local station
And record it.
Yeah.
Off the radio.
And you have this collection of all the songs you want to
Will
hear.
you
don't
play
listen to radio
Smells Like
anymore.
Teen Spirit?
Screw you guys.
No,
I thought I was coming back to the Humpcast. You're never coming again.
I had a funny. I had a.
that song. You ever hear that song?
What song?
That song. It's like Walking on Broken Glass.
Oh yeah, I've heard it.
You heard that one?
Yes.
God, what
I'm
is
walking
that?
on broken
Oh
glass.
my god. Okay, that's an example of the stupid shit that runs through my mind when I first wake up during the day. I'll have like some awful like memory or something. I think I have some neurological
Built this city
disorder,
on
like,
rock
all
and
of a
roll.
sudden- Yeah, but that one I can deal with very well. Like that, there's been a few awful ones where like it's been like, what was that? One was like, you and me go fishing in the dark.
Boom.
Like,
I've had that.
that's
I've had
it,
that
like,
one.
waking
Yeah.
up, like why is that reverberating?
It's like,
Like,
I
was
roller
I
skated
was I
14 years
dreaming
ago to
about
that
being
song.
there?
Right?
Yeah.
And I think I was just so like emotionally scarred from the times that I've heard it that my subconscious is still like scrubbing it from my memory. So like I'm still waking up to parts of it.
Dude, it's
That's my
horrible
theory.
when you wake up and you know it's just a bad playlist. It's a bad station to be
I'll
in,
also wake
dude.
up and I'll have like certain phrases from like movies or some shit. Does that ever happen?
Or some shit.
Does that ever, well,
I don't know.
Where you like wake up and you've got like some like random like quip like from an action movie or like some movie that you fucking
Sticking around.
watch the other day.
From fucking
Yeah,
Predator.
I don't know. If it bleeds, we can kill it. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Why am I thinking about that over and over again? What's wrong with me? Is that dementia or has that ever happened to anyone else?
Open ice.
Is that happening?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right.
My favorite,
It's just-
my
yeah.
favorite is when you're driving around in your car, and you park your car and you fucking go to work and you work your 8 hours, and then you start singing songs in your head, and then you fucking get into your car and you flip the fucking key, and what you're thinking about is playing on the fucking tape player. That one used to always blow my mind.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
oh
fucking
shit, I was that Big Audio Dynamite record sticking with me.
That's
And
cassette tape. Yeah, if you told me that it came on the radio, I would say that's
On the
that's-
radio.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but
I've been on
like,
the
when you
radio
got
quite a
your
bit.
CDs are. But I was gonna tell a funny story. I had an '83 Buick Skylark with the AC Delco fucking tape player, and it had the middle button was eject, and then there was a forward and a reverse,
Okay.
and the tape player stopped working, so it wouldn't play tapes. So all I had was radio, and at that time CDs were coming out in big clunky fucking portable things, and you could buy the cassette tape to put in, so you could bring your CD
sure.
player in the car,
Sure.
and
Oh, yeah.
I've got
fuck
one
yeah.
right there.
yeah, I had a good year and a half where I used to have to bring the tape adapter into my car
Oh yeah.
and plug my Walkman tape player, so I would listen to tapes in my Walkman tape player because my tape
Yeah,
players.
did you have two outputs for your headphones on your fucking on your Walkman?
No,
Just
just
some of them have. You know how some of them had like the really nice one. Remember like the sporty
oh
Walkman?
fuck, you could get really
Like
tight
a nice
ones.
sporty Walkman.
And then there was the
like the
waterproof-
waterproof yellow.
Yeah,
like white.
yeah, and you could
yellow.
snap that fucker.
Two line outs. Like there's got to be some of that gear hanging out. I'm gonna like just 90s the shit out of my place.
I don't even know what the fuck
Fanny
you
pack
do.
that
Like,
shit,
oh,
dude.
you and I could get drunk and each plug in headphones and
Get
sit
some
on the couch and listen to the same fucking tape together
All right, 1,
until
2,
the batteries
Let's fucking
die.
listen to some Zima. Fucking maybe go swimming. Whatever, dude.
Yeah, they got creative with that.
Some sporty Walkmans out there.
But yeah, I had that period where I got to play a tape in my fucking cheap ass Walkman into my tape player because the tape player spools didn't
Oh,
work.
okay, gotcha.
So I needed the tape adapter for the CD player to play my tapes. And
an
this-
external cassette player.
no, and when you fucking turn your car on, the hum of that tape player is just like. And then you turn the tape player on and it added another layer of hum.
Yeah.
So you're like,
So you got that music cranked all the way
all the way up. And fucking it sounded minimal.
drowned it out.
Music is like an afterthought.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, are we listening to Kraftwerk? Well, no, we are listening
We
to
are
Kraftwerk, but we
robots.
have this other fucking hum coming with
Oh my
it.
god, dude. Yeah, that's exactly where that shit was at. That's hilarious, man. I miss it.
It's fucking awesome.
I do too. The simplicity of everything right now is, I'm 35, but I'm jaded and a little bitter, and the mixtape really pisses me off because the beauty of that was if I stayed up all night and fucking made a mixtape of all my CDs and records and whatever and made you a 90 fucking minute mixtape and gave it to you, chances are you'd carry it around and you'd listen to it for a couple weeks and you'd get into something, and then the mixed CD, if you didn't like what you heard, you'd skip to the next, and you never fucking listen to it.
You don't even listen to the whole
CDs are
song.
dispensable. You get the fucking
That
CDRs.
seems to be the general mindset is
You
that
don't even listen to the whole
it
song.
advocates that you actually are forced to listen to that.
Exactly.
So that's
kinda
so
cool.
cassette is a vastly superior format.
In that
For
regard.
sharing.
Portable, durability. You got like 1,000 plays on that bitch.
You can
Quality,
CD.
Kinda hit
To
and
me,
miss.
fucking CD.
yeah. Well, digital is 10 times better than CD is even so.
I can't,
CD
can't
is
say that.
CD. I think is better than fucking MP3. I mean,
MP3 first is condensed to a fucking ham sandwich, and it fucking sounds like garbage. As
MP3 is
to
only
where-
like 320. It gets higher to like 550 and like 600. So I mean, it does get vastly.
but I mean that was the thing with the audio cassette was, on a good stereo you could pop an audio cassette in and that thing was pristine.
Yeah, good old school stereo, sure, but if
Yeah.
you put it on like a newer stereo with the little speakers that are
Oh,
10 times
yeah,
higher quality,
it sounds. like-
it sounds weak. It sounds thin. You know.
It also depends on what was recorded.
Or a nice car
when.
stereo system with fucking big ass kickers in the back and
Right.
shit. Yeah, dude.
right.
Yeah.
Just if you're listening to metal, don't turn that shit all the way up.
That's the thing about like
Dude,
metal
oh my
CDs.
God.
Like,
Oh my god, get some
like
treble.
I even
in
have that. I have a Zune. I have a Zune that I play in my car, and like some of the tracks are obviously Pro Tools recorded. They're really high grade, and then some of the old school metal stuff is not.
Yeah.
And the moment that volume hits, it's like, God damn,
Oh,
fucking
shit.
turn this shit
Yeah.
way up.
Yep.
Then you gotta EQ it while you're driving and shit, trying to get it to sound like the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back to the high grade shit, it's like, and like scares the shit out of you,
Yeah, that's the thing. Me being a music collector, and I've got hundreds of CDs.
Variety. man.
Fuck, when I pop CDs, and you could tell the ones that were made in 91.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even
There's
with the
just-
remasters.
It was basically
Even
converting
with
from
them.
tape
They
to
don't
CD.
come up. They don't come up right. I don't think they come up like new records.
No, they weren't fucking made that way in the first place, so they can't really break that.
I can be able to recreate the digital sound from an analog sound. Not yet. Maybe in the future.
Oh, for sure.
The future is here.
Well, that's what Mike was telling me yesterday. Remember how we were discussing tones? Like you could hear a lead by Slash and know that it was Slash. So,
Absolutely. But it's not just a guitar.
and I was
tone,
almost
it's
like
playing.
minimizing that effect, like saying I don't know, man. It seems like if you get two different guys and they play the same riff, like okay, the odds are it will sound different, but there's enough people to where eventually you'll run into redundancies in the sound. So
Yeah.
ultimately, it's not that much of a difference or whatever.
You're gonna run
And I
into a
brought that
weird
up to Mike. I
wavelength.
brought that up to Mike, and then like he was just like, "Man, it's totally unique and very unique to that person." Just because there's so many different variables there that it's almost like
Well, if you combine all the things that go into playing an instrument, like your pick attack, how you fret, the form where you're fretting, like some people play the classical style, they play over the hand. It's hand size, finger size, all that stuff matters,
String
like how
notice.
hard you push down,
Yeah.
the quality of your instrument, how your instrument's set up,
That's
the
true.
string
Yeah,
gauges
that's
on
true.
your instrument. You add all that kind of shit together,
Yeah.
and then
And
you
that
add the
creates,
feel as far as like phrasing. Like we could play the same thing, but I could phrase it
right,
maybe more
right.
legato,
Just
you
slight,
could phrase
just
it more
slight, just
staccato.
slight variations in like
That makes yours sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
And then some
Yeah,
people,
that's
they like different sounds. They like, bending slightly out of key. They like that kind of stuff. So it can be completely different depending on the person.
I think one of the funnier things with recording the way that it is, and Dresch, when SoMo recorded Groping Around the Ape Dwelling, he...
Yeah, that one rules, man.
Yeah.
The donut man,
Jam that
fucking
one,
eating
jam that
fat
one.
people.
He's got that one.
He was, he's got all these fucking super expensive speakers, in the studio, and everything sounds fucking great in the studio.
Oh yeah, dude.
But who owns those speakers at home in their car?
I know.
Yeah, where they're at.
I know.
And he talked about trying to mix shit to headphones and like different stuff because
Change the
everything,
mix,
yeah,
right?
because you can mix a fucking record in the studio so fucking good, and then you get it to your car. Or my favorite is the $30 Walmart cheap fucking CD player with bass boost.
Yeah.
You should be able to
Oh,
pop your fucking any CD into that, turn it on, and sit in a room this size. And if you're working on the computer, it should have the
Yeah,
sound.
that's the separation between somebody like Mike who understands the frequencies and how they interlap to compare to somebody who's just doing off their ear.
But
They're
what
just
about
playing with the EQ. They don't know what any of the frequencies actually do. They're just
right,
adjusting.
right? But also look at it this way: you don't want to mix your shit on some shitty ass setup just to make sure it works for most people.
You want
to
it-
go to
you
a
wanna
good
check
setup
it.
and it sounds like shit.
You want to check it. You want to be doing the good shit, the bad shit. You want to take breaks so your ears can recover.
Yes, yeah.
That's how it needs to happen.
Yeah,
Well,
you gotta take
and
breaks.
that's what I don't get. Like the professional recording, like a David Geffen record. I don't get what the fuck they do that they can produce records that sound good in all formats. That's the key.
Takes a long time.
Yeah, and I suppose that's why
that's
they
why it's so highly
spend-
paid. That's why
Yeah.
they make the big bucks, dog.
Because they sit around for fucking a week and it's
Yeah.
like, nah, dude.
Like Rick Rubin, and fucking he gets you in there and he
Yeah.
don't put reverb on your shit or nothing. And fucking sounds amazing.
He's got his own way of doing it.
Hell yeah, dude. I prefer that kind of recording just because it captures the actual essence of the band as opposed to it being all touched up and fancy.
When it's touched up and it's like
Touched
math,
up and fancy.
that's what kind of fucking turns me off. Is when it's like math. It's like clockwork. It's like fucking numbers. Nothing
too
can be-
perfect.
yeah, nothing
There's
can
no
be wrong.
performance
There
there.
are no flaws. Like that shit is just not.
Unless that
right.
music, is
That's
meant to be that way. Like Rings of Saturn, that would make sense. Sugar, that makes sense.
Right, but just imagine if they
It's
were.
mechanical sound. Any sort of 9 Inch Nails or something, you would kind of assume that that's how it would sound.
Right, but what about when it's got that raw edge to it? It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's got like a little bit of rawness to it. That's what sticks out. That's what
I
makes
think
you
what Frank,
fucking
I think what Frank
right
was
on it.
saying. I think what he was saying was that like with a lot of that synthetic shit, like there's not a lot of room for error.
No.
So like,
There's no room.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, like if you're just sampling fucking, you know what I mean, a jackhammer. If you're sampling a jackhammer, you're not going to deviate from the jackhammer.
Yeah,
sound,
everything needs
Or like
to-
even like a synth, you know what I mean? Like if I'm pressing, you know what I mean? Like you could dirty up the tone and shit, but there's nothing's gonna change if I press this, you know what I mean? Unless you have like control over the pitch. Maybe you could fuck with the pitch, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've dealt in a couple different varieties of recording setups, and there is something to actually the live playing, because I could lay down 3 notes that are played over and over again in a riff, and we can just fucking cut and paste that and make it into the riff. And then actually,
How much fun is that? I mean, like,
well, sure.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That or record the same fucking one take at the chorus and repeat that on every one of them.
You can only do that if you're doing the
You know,
metronome.
it depends on where you're at. I mean, like if you're
The metronome
Very
and
organized
people that record with the metronome, you can't be wrong because
No.
the metronome is always right.
Exactly.
So I understand that too,
Yeah,
but it
that's
does
what kind
take
of
away.
pacing makes sense.
But it does
But
take away from
the feel gets lost. Like
Yep.
if you ever break
Yeah.
into a groove or a halftime feel, something that's kind of out of
Or
time.
something natural.
Yeah.
not exactly halftime. You know what I mean?
No,
But,
it's,
like,
it's,
when
it's slightly
just-
out of time. It's
Grouping
Yeah,
around the
yeah,
8
it's like,
dwelling
we just
had
pick it
no
back up just a
metronomes. We
little.
just
That's what I heard.
relayed that shit
hard to
down.
program.
I heard you guys went in there and just
Metronome.
fucking
Let's
jammed it
play
out.
all of
Just
them
part of it,
and
just drop it
fucking tear it up, and if it's fucking shitty, it's shitty. And
Did you guys lay down vocals afterwards?
yeah, we did vocals last.
Okay,
we did
because that makes sense.
We did all 18 tracks of music in about 2.5 hours. We laid all the music down, and then it took us 3 times that amount of time
And that was Cat House.
to put the vocals down.
Oh yeah, guys.
And that's awesome, man.
Some news from you. I talked to him. So I was just in there yesterday. Finished up the bass tracks and drums for "Stay Lucky," and he agreed that he would come on our podcast.
Fucking right, dude. That's awesome.
Sweet.
Mike would?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, get him in here, dude.
So yeah, he agreed to it. Now, granted, he hasn't seen any of the other ones.
Uh-oh.
So.
Well, fuck it, dude. He's gonna come
We
over.
might turn him off.
Right.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
watch
because
this,
he's
Mike.
never hung out with
Don't
us
watch
in the
this.
studio.
Yeah, turn this off now.
I believe that he allows
No.
beer in his studio.
Oh,
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, I was
Just saying.
Have you
No,
ever
I
been
told- I
you
told
ever
him that,
recorded there? Jake,
What's up?
have you recorded with Mike?
I haven't recorded with him. I've
You
been in
didn't
the
do
studio
Bridal?
a couple times.
He didn't, oh, you guys did
No,
that.
Bridal
on
didn't. I
Madison,
went and
yeah.
did bass with Tennessee. We were just tracking the drums. So we were all jamming while Josh tracked his drums.
But you were there.
Yeah. I was,
Okay, so you met
yeah, I
Mike.
was
That's
playing
all I'm
with it.
saying.
Oh yeah, I met him a few
Because
times.
I worked with Mike, he's worked with Mike several times.
Yes.
You worked with
Yeah.
Mike, so
My
we
stuff's
all
recorded
done
in
it.
his home studio back in the day, in his basement studio.
yeah.
We did that very fucked up, and then SoMo we laid down in the new studio. Pleasant experience. And then I was out at Pulse River with a friend of mine and laid down a really good record, kind of on the fly, and it was a completely different experience. And I appreciate seeing everyone's angle of how they look at things and how sounds are. That experience to me is worth it, but I hate to be a fucking homer, but Goat Cat House, I wouldn't record anywhere else.
Oh, no.
You're right.
I wouldn't.
See,
Unless you're
If you're
like-
paying for the
so-
studio time, I'll go anywhere.
Yeah, if you're gonna pay for it, you
Do
need to
it.
have the magic.
Yeah.
Do what you want to
need
do,
the
but
wizard.
And the
Mike's the
motherfucker's
wizard.
got it. It is. Yeah.
He's the man behind the curtain.
Good studio.
Yeah, we
Solid
were
as
discussing that, and you know, it's a really competitive field and everything, you know, with that.
But
with
is it
being
in
a
Sioux
sound
Falls?
engineer.
Not in Sioux Falls.
Well,
It's really
maybe
just
not so much so in Sioux Falls,
But it should be.
But it is though. It already is because like every year, everyone's coming from music schools. You know what I mean? They're churning them out. They all want to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, but how many names have you really heard?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I guess
anybody-
remember.
Yeah, but anybody can learn Pro Tools. Anybody can learn Cubase. Anybody can fucking do it. But if you don't have a
motherfuckers got-
fucking ear or an understanding
Yeah,
for what the fuck
what
you're doing,
that's what it boils down to. Like, I mean, it goes beyond like if you can't play drums, if you can't play guitar, you know what I mean. If you don't know about the how to about the intonation of a guitar, like
And tone.
The way
if
she
you
should
don't
sound.
if you can't recognize pitch, you know what I mean. Like if you don't have a basic understanding of the mechanics on how to do that shit and what it is, you can't manipulate the sound enough to be an engineer.
yeah, you
You know what I
can't.
mean? And so you have to find someone that can be able to have all that, have all the resources to invest in the fucking gear, and then fucking, I mean, like, so I mean, there's no way, he must have at some point been really going out on a limb, you know what I mean?
Oh fuck
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
for
Like,
sure, for
and,
sure.
And I haven't dug too deep, but I mean, like, maybe when he's on the podcast, he'll talk about that. I mean, like, because, you know, that's what I asked him, and he says he has people approaching him, you know, asking him, you know, what do you use? How do I emulate your sound? Do you have understudies? You know, and he's like, well,
I've been doing this shit for
Who
years.
was telling him? He was like, I just tell him you have to have, like basically exactly what you were saying. What we were just saying, you have to have all that understanding and working knowledge of music, and then on top of that, be able to invest the money in capital.
Yeah, the guy's got
Yeah.
hell of an ear for pitch. though.
And then
That's a straight,
add to
dude.
that,
Yes,
add
I
to
know he
that,
does.
add to that combination, the proficiency to be able to use all that fucking software and fucking Pro Tools shit, which is a completely different skill set outside of creating music. You know what I mean? Like,
That's your computer shit.
like
yeah.
God. So yeah. So I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm sure it's no big deal. to
When-
someone.
Yeah, and when you look at
Been doing it
something,
forever, dude.
when you look at
For a
shit
while.
that's being recorded excellently now, for me, I try to drag my brain back to like 1968 when Pink Floyd was recording the shit with Syd Barrett.
Oh, shit.
You know, and the reel, and that blows my mind.
I've recorded on one of those before.
How you fucking get that to now, and the fact that they're one and the same, but there is that bridge it's fucked up, and I'm not the guy to understand it.
It's like there's night and day, dude.
I think a lot
That's
of
what
it
it's like.
is to do with just how much we've come learning how to clean everything up prior to the recording as opposed to trying to fix it post-recording.
While you're recording, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I
But
mean,
then you're also getting things like Zeppelin as they recorded in that house. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know which record it was, but they recorded inside of a house.
Really?
And it was all like a live live recording of the drums inside the house. It was fucked up.
I
And
don't
they just loved how the house sounded with the drum.
There are
That's
people.
awesome.
There are people that, and that's another thing. That's an environmental thing. Some engineers and producers, they could go into any environment. If you've got a studio with these qualifications, I can go in there and record anybody and get what I want. And then there are people, and Steve Albini is a good example of a guy who has his studios and wants his specifications of room sizes, the way rooms sound, the way mics are, and that's fucking great. But it is apples and oranges there. And
Another thing I worry about with like super high quality is everybody sounds the same, as they give them all the same quality, and therefore the originality that's in the band doesn't get captured.
I gotta say, active pickups.
So I don't like active
fucking
pickups.
I don't
pickups,
either.
man.
Fuck
I don't
'em.
like
They
them.
can
I
pick
like organic passive pickups. I like
Right.
pickups that give the guitar character.
You're right. It's the way the guitar sounds.
Because
it's not just
EMGs,
emulated
you
back.
just know they're EMGs. The moment somebody starts
Yeah.
playing, it's like everybody plays EMGs. I don't want to fucking hear it.
I don't play them.
I like the
I
Marchios.
like
I
them.
like,
I have played them.
Seymour Duncans. I like just stock pickups that come.
That's funny. I was just having that same.
Depends on the
I was
stuff,
just
dude.
having that same conversation with him. About active versus passive pickups.
What do you say?
Well, he said some guitar players prefer the passive. You know what I mean?
I do.
Do you really?
I do.
So
It
sounds
both of
more
you guys
organic,
do.
man.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sounds more organic. I don't know. It gives the guitar character. So
Dude, the EMG. You got
EMGs
your
can make
tone.
any guitar sound good.
They can make any guitar,
Sound-
anyone.
Yeah,
sound
it can
great.
just make anything sound like it's fucking ripping
Right.
metal.
So what the
Right.
hell's wrong with that?
Because if you're
Because
playing an
there's no
EMG,
character.
you're playing an EMG. That's it.
There's no character. It's like you sound like
There-
every other metal guitar player who
Where's
plays
the
an EMG.
light to the back? Is it on the outside?
Yeah, that's right.
Outside, right?
No,
It's so
no,
tricky.
so-
I almost pissed in the dark like
Yeah.
times in there. It's like,
So you
where
think,
is this shit?
So you think there's a drawback to using an active pickup EMG because it sounds it makes you
what do you
sound
mean?
too much like
Cookie cutter, dude.
It does make you sound cookie cutter. It does make you sound predictable. That's my word. It makes it sound predictable.
I mean,
I don't
the way
even
you
think
play
anyone
is the way
fucking
you
even.
play.
Do you think really anyone out in the audience would even give a fuck or care like, if you watched it?
No, but as a musician and as a listener myself, I cared heavily. So
If you went and saw a band that
Absolutely.
you like and they had active pickups,
would I discredit the band? No, they're
No.
playing.
would you
obviously
think
drum set.
any less of that band?
No,
Okay,
That's true, but it's a personal preference, man.
it's a personal preference.
personal thing on your
personal
It is a
preference.
personal preference.
You know what I mean?
Do I
It's
think
not-
that they could get better tones possibly without
exactly.
the active pickups? Yes, I do believe that.
But it
do I
doesn't
do
really
I
matter at the end
do
of
I
the
think
day.
that they're like a crappy player because they play EMGs? That's ridiculous.
Right.
No, I wasn't
That's
implying that.
absurd.
I'm not implying anything. They're a crabby player. What I'm saying is that would that take away anything? You know what I mean?
No, definitely
Like,
not, man. Definitely not. It's just
anything away from what you
No,
what,
no,
you, what,
man.
you liked
But
about.
I
it.
have a different
that's
school of
like
thought
that's
than the
here's what it
person,
is.
so-
I play light picks, right? Okay,
But
very
heavy.
light guitar picks. Am I gonna hate on you for playing heavy picks? No, it doesn't make a fucking difference. It's just a personal.
But what if you didn't know what gauge pick you were using?
Then I'm definitely gonna kick your
Then
ass
you're
out,
in
you
fucking
motherfucker.
trouble, dude. That's
off.
fucking bullshit,
Yep.
dude.
Actually, you know what? Do you know what gauge?
I have no clue.
No, dude. Fucking seriously, don't.
I don't fucking know, man.
You're kicked out. You're fired.
Seven.
You're fired
Seven.
from the
I use a 7.9er.
Why is it 3.0? So
I use a 48.
I used to use the Gators, the really thick fucking
36 long is what I use. I don't know.
36 long.
Use the 36 longs. Those
No,
are
I
pretty good.
usually use like the 48 sharp.
It's like a medium, like a thick, medium, heavy, thin size.
Right on.
It's made out of like rock and fossil.
That's cool. I usually use.
Have you seen those stone
usually
picks?
Granite.
No,
No, they're like
I've seen
different stones.
Glass
They're
picks.
super expensive. They had like ones that were like $70 and $80, like over $100.
I bet they're really original sounding once you get used to them, but I bet they're really awkward because they're heavy.
It's a rock.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a rock. Like
So?
that. Well, I'm just saying. they're
You could
rocks.
probably do some weird
How many
shit
people
with
play
it.
with
They
the
were
rock?
all, dude. Did you see these Stoneworks picks? Did you see those Stoneworks picks?
No.
I've never seen
Fucking,
them.
yeah, dude. I'll show this to you. Fucking picks that are made of stone, man. Just like it sounds.
Exactly like it sounds.
Set in stone.
Pretty much exactly what it sounds like, man.
Sounds like too much for me, dude. I need some light floppy.
I'll take a brag away for Justin. Come back.
Peace.
Just play the one that you got,
That's
man.
jamming.
I'll try one. Just play the one that you got real quick.
Sorry, guys. Welcome back, bitches.
I had
Speaking
explosive
of
diarrhea.
We'll get that next time, Jake.
And I've been battling a stomach ailment for the better part of 7 days, and I'm back now, and I've got delicious Budweiser, and that's going to be our sponsor.
Hell yeah.
So
In our successful lives.
we're back, and we're going to talk about Rudimentary Penai's second record, I think, Death Church.
Yeah. I'd
Yeah,
be down with that.
It's
I'd
awesome.
yeah, these guys don't listen to any punk rock.
I
No,
know,
you guys are
fuck
just
it
talking
is.
circles around it.
Okay,
right now, 'cause
well,
we're metal
all right.
kids here.
We'll
Just
skip.
the punk rock stuff.
We'll skip
Move
that.
move on to the metal. What about some of the grindcore? You were talking about American grindcore earlier. You ever listen to? Thank you.
Oh,
You ever listen to?
Drop shit,
You
Jake,
ever listen to
Jesus.
Pig Destroyer?
Big Destroyer, yeah.
There you go, dude.
Yeah. Cattle Decap, of course. We were just listening to their newest record. That shit is pretty amazing. But they've
Best record
like
of the
moved on
fucking
like out of
2012.
grindcore into like fucking something else, man. Like
Yeah,
Dude,
they're
holy
tech death metal. Like, I'm sure their whole lineup is different and everything, but
I think they command respect with what they're doing. I mean, for sure. Like I said, they may have a completely different lineup for all that we know, but I think the album calls for people to listen to it and
Fuck
enjoy
yeah.
it. And,
fuck yeah.
um,
What other extreme metal bands would you say that you like a lot, or
yeah, when it comes to metal, the worse the quality, lo-fi. I'm a very much. I like Vaughn. I like Beharit. There's something. I guess it's a creep factor to some of it that I like. Just the garage quality.
Sounds more evil.
It just sounds. Yeah, it sounds like it was recorded.
it's more raw. I mean,
Yeah.
just by definition.
Sounds like those
it's
guys
raw.
are sitting outside of a church ready to burn it down.
Yep.
And
that's,
it's the truth.
But metal is always one of those things that it comes in waves for me, you know, that when winter first hits in like October,
Feels natural.
oh, metal,
That's when you need to throw on some black metal.
yeah, whatever. No, it doesn't matter if it's Deicide or if it, you know, that's when you get the records going. And you know, and spring breeds a little different musical tonality.
Sure.
And me being a punk rock guy and all over the boards musically, you'd brought up They Might Be Giants.
Yeah.
Their last record, Join Us, was fucking amazing.
Joint us.
Angry 50-year-old men.
What is Metallica now?
But
Yeah.
I think we've lost our train of thought.
Well, we were discussing modern grind metal bands. Throw on some Cattle Decap. I like that. Yeah, shit's awesome.
Modern grind.
Well, or okay, well maybe
It's
not
something
modern,
else,
maybe not
though.
modern grind, but like you were like we were talking about like you were saying like when you were coming up at Sioux Falls that
Yeah, the real underground punk music had always been the underground, and metal I don't even think was considered a viable option.
that type
And
of
then but then punk became commercial or at least viable, and that made metal all of a sudden the black sheep. And yeah, when I was a kid, we listened to Devo.
God, I wish I could say like half the same because I just can't relate. I don't know this shit. Half these bands you guys are talking about, I really don't.
I
fucking
meant
know.
Dio, not Devo. Dio.
I
Dio.
was like Devo? What really? Dio.
Devo.
Devo.
No, I think I meant Devo.
Devo?
Is
New
Devo a
wave,
band?
New wave band?
New wave band Devo.
Whip It?
Devo is a band, right?
Yeah. Devo. Dio died a couple summers
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, you did.
Not to be confused with Dio.
Not to be confused with
Right.
Devo.
What if you had a band called D-E-O Evo? And it was all Dio versions of like Devo songs.
Dio.
Or if you did the opposite and then you did like a double record and then you did Dio songs in the style of Devo.
I'd listen to it.
How do you spell Devo?
D-E-V-O.
Oh, D-E-V-O.
Take a guess, sir.
It sounds like TiVo. But the new wave of TiVo.
You've never heard the Devo?
No, man, I don't listen to that shit. I'm sorry.
I don't listen to that shit.
I do.
I don't listen to that shit.
On a side note, yeah. Well, we got a really off track there.
Anyway, fucking, I really don't have much to say in public because I'm, you know, in my world, I'm hanging out. I'm not retarded.
He's a recluse.
Well, maybe I'm retarded, but
You're a retard.
that's alright.
I don't know. You got nothing.
Dude, okay, here, retarded kids.
You're on the
They
drugs.
live in more than likely they live in bliss.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you had heavy fucking autism to where you thought you were in a fucking spaceship all day battling fucking aliens,
That would be fucking awesome.
is that exactly?
It's like a reality
That's
video
what I'm
game,
saying.
dog.
That's it.
I pay $60 to fucking do some shit like that.
Right?
I guess when I want to look at the American underground for metal music, when I was a kid, it was JL, Turbo America. Anything that came out on that record label was instant gold. Beharit, Goat Lord,
Goat Lord or Goat Whore?
Goat Lord.
Yeah.
And Goat Lord had, I think it was Mick Harris from Napalm Death. That was their claim.
Fucking Cookie Monster to the extreme, man.
Something weird. We'll have to incorporate musical samples into another
Goat Lord.
podcast that I can be a part of, just to
Yeah,
explain.
absolutely, man. You'd be
Cool,
welcome.
man.
You'd be welcome to come back
Absolutely,
anytime,
man.
man. Yeah, liven it up. Yeah, we're making this one a 2-hour.
Like
One,
fucking
so, yeah,
retard
so-
jam, fucking.
Yeah, you're welcome to come back and join the crew, man. Fucking every Wednesday we do
Absolutely,
this
dude.
shit. So.
I don't have to shit diarrhea, but I would like to have diarrhea of the mouth and say
Yeah.
that SoMo will be playing in the Sioux Falls area sometime in the next 9 to 14 months.
Nice.
We've got CDs, T-shirts, stickers.
You guys are
I
from
got
here,
it.
right?
I don't got any t-shirts though.
Where else
Yeah,
are
we
you
got,
from?
we got T-shirts
Go to your
now.
home, dog.
And it's been wonderful to be invited onto the podcast. And I know in the break, Topcast, Humpcast. But there was talk of a riff of the week. I'm not familiar with it. I might have to
Yeah, let's
just
roll it.
step away and let the riff take place.
Hey, dude, I'm cool with you playing the riff. You want to play the riff?
Thank you.
we don't.
Dude, let's do Blood and Thunder, both of us, man. Mastodon. So.
It's gonna take a couple minutes.
There you go.
David
I like to
wins.
use the.
Yeah.
Like to use a Sony.
David
We're on, dog.
Shop.
We are
Rolling.
Okay, riff of the day is called
Riff of the day.
Mastodon, Blood and Thunder.
It's a
And
harmony
Donnie's
part.
facial structure.
We're gonna fuck it up. Be ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Very good. Very nice.
Fucking
Cut off.
Mastodon
That was
rules.
very good.
Mastodon rules.
Congratulations.
The metal.
Alright, bitches. Thanks again for tuning in.
Did you ever play a sync like that?
From all of us here at HQ, we want to thank you very much. There is a show coming up February 24th.
Johnny, let's jam for a minute, dude. I do have
Details February 24th, 2:30 p.m.
Next time, yeah. You're here next time, you get a jam on it.
There's like a whole grip of artists. Acoustic Exile's playing. It should be pretty badass. Everyone's doing Johnny Cash covers. We want to thank you guys again and remind you to shop at Common Sense. They are by far the best gift shop in town. If you want to find some awesome stickers and literature, and just meet some nice people and have a good conversation, stop down to Common Sense, talk to them. Make sure to share the podcast with your friends every hump day. A little more information. We'll get it to you next time. All right, kids. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later.
He takes okay guitar and makes it sound amazing, feel amazing. Whoa. Get the tiger, yo. Cat, dude.
Looks like I have a tiger.
Mini tiger.
Nah, he was already in. Tinder Box, Jaretowski, Dr. Barkey, Zach Wilson, Acoustic Monster, Skipadelic Experience, Rich Show. Later, bitches.